I have my right turn signal, no loose or missing screws, no cracks, no missing bolts, amber in color, working properly. And then I will unlatch this side of the hood latch door. Now when coming to the front of the truck, please make sure you guys put both hands on the hood, place your knee on the bumper, and pull back. Now I'm going to start with my passenger side. I have my air filter, it's properly mounted, there's no loose or missing bolts, no cracks, and the filter is clean. Next, I have my radiator, it's properly mounted, there's no loose or missing bolts, no cracks or leaks, the hoses have no cuts or leaks, and my clamps are tight and secure. I have my serpentine belt, which is behind this hose right here. It operates two components, my alternator and my water pump, which is below it. My serpentine belt is properly mounted. There's no more than 3/4 of an inch of plate at the center of the belt. There's no cracks or tears on the rubber. And it's not dangerously thin. I have my alternator. It's properly mounted. There's no loose or missing bolts. There's no cracks or vents. The wires are secured. They're not cut or frayed. Underneath the alternator, I have my water pump. It's properly mounted. No loose or missing bolts. No cracks or leaks. The hoses have no cuts or leaks. And my clamps are tight and secure. Over here I have my turbo. It's properly mounted, there's no loose or missing bolts, no cracks or leaks. The hose has no cracks or leaks, and my clamps are tight and secure. Underneath the truck I have my oil filter. It's tight with no leaks. Then I come over to the driver's side. And when I come over here, the first thing I want to say is that my air compressor and my power steering are both gear driven. My air compressor is properly mounted, there's no loose or missing bolts, there's no cracks or leaks, the hoses and air lines have no cuts or leaks, and my fittings are tight and secure. Underneath, you just point. The power steering is properly mounted, there's no loose or missing bolts, there's no cracks or leaks, the hoses have no cuts or leaks, and my clamps are tight and secure. Coming over here, I have my oil filler and dipstick. It is properly mounted. There's no loose or missing bolts. There's no cracks or leaks. The cap is on tight. The oil level's been checked, and it is above the refill mark. I have my coolant reservoir. It's properly mounted. There's no loose or missing bolts. There's no cracks or leaks. The cap is on tight. The hoses have no cuts or leaks. My clamps are tight and secure, and the fluid level has been checked. I have my power steering pump reservoir. It's properly mounted. There's no loose or missing bolts. There's no cracks or leaks. The cap is on tight. The hoses have no cuts or leaks. My clamps are tight and secure, and the fluid level has been checked. I have my windshield washer reservoir. It's properly mounted. There's no loose or missing bolts. There's no cracks or leaks. My hoses have no cuts or leaks, and my cap is on tight, and the fluid level has been checked. I have my steering rod. It's properly mounted. There's no loose or missing bolts. There's no bends, cracks, or any illegal welds. And my couplings and U-joints are properly greased and free of debris. Next, I have my steering box. It's properly mounted. There's no loose or missing bolts. There's no cracks or leaks. The hoses have no cuts or leaks, and my clamps are tight and secure. I have my shock absorber. It is properly mounted. No loose or missing bolts. No cracks or leaks. I have my mounting and mounting bolt. It's properly mounted. There's no loose or missing bolts. There's no bends, cracks, or any illegal welds. I have my leaf springs. It's properly mounted. There's no loose or missing leaf springs, and there's no bends, cracks, or any illegal welds. I have my U-bolts. They're properly mounted. There's no loose or missing bolts. There's no bends, cracks, or any illegal welds. I have my steering linkage, rod, and arm. It's properly mounted. There's no loose or missing bolts. There's no bends, cracks, or any illegal welds. And there's no loose or missing cotter heads. I have my tie rod and arm. It's properly mounted. There's no loose or missing bolts. There's no bends, cracks, or any illegal welds. And there's no loose or missing cotter heads. I have my brake chamber or my S-cam brake. It is properly mounted. There's no loose or missing bolts. There's no cracks or leaks. My hoses have no cuts or leaks, and my fittings are tight and secure. I have my brake adjuster or slack adjuster and push rod. There's no loose, missing, broken parts, and there's no more than 1 inch when pulled by hand. I have my brake drum properly mounted. There's no bends, cracks, or any rust. I have my brake lining. It's not dangerously thin, not less than 1/4 inch thin. There's no contamination of oil or grease of any kind. I have my splash guard. It's properly mounted. There's no